Welcome back to my channel, guys. Now in this video, my good old friend Jim and I are going to go over the Rhino weapon, which appeared quite a few times in the Ratchet and Clank series. Now this weapon is considered the strongest in general, so we'll discuss and analyze each and every one of them, and at the end of this video, we'll decide which one's the best. Hope you enjoy. So the first Rhino in the series appeared in Ratchet and Clank 1. It wasn't sold at the Gadgetron vendor, but it was sold by a random salesman, and that salesman kind of reminded me of Skid McMarks. Now this weapon is worth 150,000 bolts. The first time I saw that as a kid I was like, whoa, how am I supposed to get 150,000 bolts? Remember guys when each and every bolt was like worth 1? Yep, it would take a while. Now if I go over the details for this weapon, the ammo costs 20 bolts. It contains 50 ammo. The rate of fire is the following. It shoots 7 missiles per shot. Now, this Rhino in this game doesn't have any upgrades. Let's face it, Ratchet and Clank 1 didn't have any upgrades. Now, what I dislike about this weapon is the way it shoots its missiles. Alright, it shoots 7 missiles, that's cool. But I don't feel like they're targeting the enemies good enough compared to Rhino II and Going Commando. I mean, in Going Commando, the missiles felt more focused on the enemies, and my good old friend Jim will cover that for you guys. But come on, let's face it, it's still the Rhino, right guys? I mean, this weapon was like, wow, back then. It was like the strongest weapon out there in the Ratchet and Clank series. Now what's also cool about Ratchet and Clank 1 is the gold weapons. You could have turned your Rhino weapon gold. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what would I give this weapon? I'd give it a solid 6 on 10.
Hey guys, I'm Jim, and thanks for having me here, Vivi. So let's talk about the second Rhino in the series. Well, first of all, the Rhino II was not created from scratch. In fact, it was an upgrade or an update from the first one. Before beating the game and entering challenge mode, this weapon was only available to buy at one place, the only Gadgetron shop in the game. It cost 1 million bolts. It could carry 100 ammo, its rate of fire is 6 shots per second, and 1 ammo was worth 50 bolts. Now what I love about this weapon the most is that it auto-targets the enemies and crates. Plus, you can find ammo in ammo crates which you could not in the first game. The sound of it firing gave me so much satisfaction because you could feel how devastating each run was. And I remember the first time I saw that robot who sold us the Rhino II, and she kind of reminded me of someone from the previous game. Yeah. Anyways, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give this Rhino a perfect 10.
So one of my favorite Rhinos from the series is the Rhino III from Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. The price is worth 3 million bolts, or 2,700,000 bolts with the Gadgetron discount. The ammo costs 1,000 bolts. You initially have 25 ammo. The rate of fire varies between 8 and 13 missiles per shot. And now that depends on the level at which your weapon is at. Remember, you upgrade weapons in this game. So the weapon levels up till V5 and transforms itself into the Rhino Serrator. Now the Rhino Serrator, aka Rhino III V5, shoots a bunch of missiles that look like lasers which form a red ball. Now that red ball causes a white flash of light. However, apart from the nice visual, and that's basically what I like about this weapon in this game, it could temporarily blind Ratchet for a couple of seconds. The Rhino Serrator is unable to kill strong enemies unless the missiles, or lasers should I say, are fired straight through the enemy. On the other hand, the ball of light usually destroys the enemies that surround you in a small amount of space. But if I compare this weapon to the Rhino I or Rhino II, the missiles aren't that focused on the enemies. I guess the Rhino Serrator is specifically designed to destroy the enemies that really surround you. And if I compare it to the Rhino II, which really focuses on the enemies, this one, meh. The laser ball is pretty impressive, but it doesn't cover that much of an area. I mean, it only destroys the enemies that are really close to you, not the ones that are far away. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this one a 7 on 10.
Ratchet Deadlocked. Ratchet 4 had no Rhino. Well, to be honest, the first time I played this game and I saw the Harbinger, I really thought it was a Rhino, but nope.
On to the Rhino IV. Now the Rhino IV appeared in Tools of Destruction. Now what makes this weapon different compared to the other Rhinos is that you don't need bolts, you need holoplans. In Tools of Destruction, 13 holoplans are scattered throughout the planets. And once you find these 13 holoplan pieces, you have to go see the smuggler. Now the ammo costs 20 bolts. Its rate of fire is 20 rounds per second, and it is upgradable to the Rhino IV Extreme. Now, the previous games required us to level up the weapons, right? But in this game, the upgrade is purchasable. It costs 50 million bolts. However, the Rhino IV is nice and all, but some may think that it's way too overpowered. I mean, it could take down Emperor Tachyon in a few seconds. Some think that the auto-targeting system kind of sucked. It wasn't working well. A lot of lasers would fly around everywhere and not properly hitting enemies enough. And that would end up wasting a lot of ammo. Now, the Rhino IV is the strongest Rhino so far in terms of destroying multiple enemies the quickest. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, guys, once the Rhino IV reaches level VX, it can hold 900 ammo. Now, what would I rate this weapon? I'll give it a 6 on 10.
There was no Rhino in Ratchet and Clank Quest for Booty because the game was way too short, even shorter than Into the Nexus.
The Rhino V, which comes from A Crack in Time, my favorite game of the series. Now this Rhino is obtainable just like in Tools of Destruction. You need holoplans. It is first available once you find all the holoplans and go to Axiom City, so it's basically free. Now this Rhino has two upgraded versions, the Mega version and the Omega version. The Mega version is obtained once your Rhino 5 reaches level 5. The Omega version is purchased for 1,000,000 bolts in challenge mode, once Ratchet obtains the Mega level of the Rhino 5. Oh, and did you know that the Rhino M was an alternate version of the Rhino 5, which appeared in Ratchet and Clank before the Nexus, a mobile version of Ratchet and Clank. I haven't played before the Nexus enough to find out what it looks like or how powerful it is. Alright, back to the Rhino 5. What I love about this Rhino is its ammo capacity. It starts out with 1500 ammo, and it reaches 3000 ammo once it reaches VX. Although the Rhino 5 might look cool with its ammo capacity, it's not very useful when it comes to flying enemies. However, this situation could have been easily dealt with by throwing a Groovatron to keep the enemy still. What's hilarious about this weapon in this game is once you pull it out, some enemies might be like, "Whoa, where'd you get that Rhino? How'd you get the Rhino?" Not only that, the fact that an orchestral music plays in the background when you're using the Rhino 5, it's pretty hilarious. Maybe some of you might think that the missiles just fly around everywhere and you're wasting a bunch of ammo. Yes, but think again, you have 3000 ammo. That's a lot. And that's what basically makes this weapon kind of powerful, in my opinion. So I'll give the Rhino 5 8 on 10.
Alright. In Ratchet and Clank All for One, there was a Rhino, of course, but it was very different from the others. It is called the Rhino VI Proto Suit, and just like in the name, you guessed it, you wear it as a suit. As you can see here, the suit is different depending on which character you are using. If you are Ratchet, then the suit will be orange. Clank was, metallic. Quark was green, Nefarious was purple. Each one had a unique touch, so you could easily guess which one of the characters is in which suit. Okay, now to obtain this Rhino, you would have to collect 280 craters total to unlock the last Croid lab. In each lab, you have to complete certain challenges so that you unlock one of the 6 parts needed in order to create the Rhino VI. It is the strongest weapon in the game, of course, but you could only carry 12 ammo. This is the good part. When 2 or more characters shot the same enemy for a certain amount of time, the suits would jump in the middle of the screen and spin around for a couple of seconds to unleash a deadly explosion that could annihilate every single enemy around you, including every bosses but the Grivelnoks. Personally, because 12 ammo is just not enough for me, and you could not upgrade this weapon, I give this Rhino a 7 out of 10.
For full frontal assault or Q-force, the Rhino was not included unfortunately, probably due to the game's length being too short. But I gotta admit, even though the game is pretty short, the online mode is fun.
Finally, Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus is the latest game in the franchise that is out yet. The Rhino VII functioned a lot like the Rhino V. When you held the trigger, it played Night on Bald Mountain. It shot a bunch of missiles going all over the place, but this time it had more precision and a better look. You could only obtain this weapon when you collected all 9 hollow plants and gave them to the plumber, which was weird because usually you gave them to the smuggler. When upgraded, it was named the Rhino VII Extreme. It was more powerful and could be upgraded using raritanium to have more than twice the ammo and an increased rate of fire. And after that, it could be upgraded once more to the Omega Rhino VII Extreme in challenge mode with 1 million bolts and 1 gold bolt. It was really OP, so I give this Rhino a 9 out of 10.
So now, we've decided to come up with a top 7. After going over the scores that we came up with, we have decided to rank each Rhino from the series from worst to best. Keep in mind that this is simply based on both our opinions. Please don't rage in the comments.
Number 7. The Rhino I. We decided that this Rhino is the worst of the bunch due to its slow rate of fire compared to the others. The fast firing rate is much favorable when it comes to critical situations. Plus, it feels like you're just wasting ammo when firing on one single enemy.
Number 6. The Rhino III. Although the laser ball looks cool and destroys nearby surrounding enemies, tough enemies are harder to beat, and enemies that are farther away from you remain intact. To get rid of tougher enemies, you have to fire the lasers through the enemy.
Number 5. Rhino IV. Oh boy. The weapon looks nice and all, but it literally feels like you are wasting a ton of ammo. The focus feels clunky, and it feels like you really have to fire from close and avoid wasting ammo. The lasers remind us of the Rhino III, but the lasers this time just fly all over the place.
Number 4. The Rhino VI. The first thing that I thought about this Rhino is its difference in design. We all are used to picking up the Rhino, not the Rhino picking ourselves. The armor looks unique, but I prefer its usual design. The fire rate is good, but moving around with a huge armor kind of felt slow. On the other hand, the explosion was pretty overpowered, but doesn't have enough ammo to reproduce itself.
Number 3. Rhino V. What I love about this one is its huge ammo capacity. 1. It has a lot of ammo, and 2. It deals a lot of damage if you are pretty close to the enemy, despite losing a tiny bit of ammo. Plus, the orchestral music that plays makes this weapon epic, just like Into the Nexus. Even if some of you might feel that the bullets aren't that focused, its huge ammo capacity makes up for it.
Number 2. The Rhino VII. This Rhino felt a lot like the 5th Rhino and has a lot more accuracy when it comes to aiming. Although not having just as much as ammo as the Rhino V, it deals more damage in my opinion. Plus, the fact that Night on Bald Mountain plays in the background just makes this weapon pretty awesome.
Number 1. The Rhino II. This Rhino only had 100 ammo. Even if there were no upgrades, it felt that every single ammo was worth it. The bullets were well focused on the enemies, and that pretty much makes this Rhino top of all Rhinos in the series.
Now, before ending this video, I'd like to thank my friend Jim for being part of this project.
Well, you're welcome.
Now, we've both been huge fans of the series. I mean, we're pretty hyped for the upcoming movie, guys. So, tell me what you think. What is your own top 7? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below.
I bought the first 4 games in one day because of you.
Thanks for watching.
Leave a like. Until next time.